Welcome to the official Finovate podcast with Greg Palmer. In 2007, Finovate set out to create a dynamic fintech showcase featuring live 7-minute demos. For more than a decade, our global event series has brought together tens of thousands of people from across the fintech spectrum to see cutting-edge technologies. Now you can find out what goes on behind the scenes as key influencers and innovators share the stories that they don't get to tell you from stage. Here's a glimpse of what we have in store this episode.
We're not trying to necessarily drive people to make new donations or to make donations that they maybe weren't making before. It's really about easier tools to help them act on their giving already.
And now, your host, Greg Palmer.
Thanks for tuning into the Finovate podcast. This is Greg Palmer. We're going to be continuing with our series focusing on the Finovate Fall Best of Show winners. We've got a couple more to get to before we wrap that up, and then we'll turn our attention towards Finovate Europe, which is coming up quickly in Berlin in February of 2020. So without further ado, let's get to the interview with Gideoen and Pinkaloo. Joining me on the podcast today, we have Gideoen Taub, founder and CEO of Pinkaloo. Pinkaloo is one of the companies who won Best of Show at Finovate Fall 2019. And Gideoen, to start off, can you give our listeners just a quick overview of what Pinkaloo is all about?
Sure thing, Greg. Thanks for the opportunity to come on the podcast. Pinkaloo's core product is our white label modern giving account that we had the chance to share during Finovate. And it's a banking product that our customers use as an opportunity to connect more deeply with their banking customers around something that those customers are truly passionate about and deeply believe in. And so modern giving accounts help our banking institutions ultimately make more money, hit their core KPIs by directly powering the charitable giving of their customers and of their members.
Yeah, it was a really great demo, and I would encourage anybody who wasn't able to see it to go and check it out, because obviously showing it and seeing it that way is very impactful. But demos that focus on charitable giving are frequently pretty popular with our audience in a live demo type of context, but it can be difficult to take it to that next level. Sometimes companies in that space struggle to gain traction when it comes time to actually get banks to take the conversation further. How are you guys facing that challenge?
Yeah, definitely. And I think a few things are working in our favor. And obviously, before we started this journey, we spent a long time looking at some of those previous solutions. But ultimately, what's helping us out is first off, I didn't set out to found this company as a social impact entrepreneur. It was really out of solving a pain point that myself and the other early teammates had around too much friction in managing our giving. And as we talked about during the demo, we had access to 401ks, to 529s, and felt like a similar solution to help us manage our donations would help solve all of the friction and the pain points that we had around budgeting, around discovering organizations, around keeping track of our tax receipts. So that's first thing. I think the second thing that's really helping us out, timing. We're at a point now where digital banking experiences do have the ability to integrate third parties like ours, and we're able to create a really seamless experience for those end banking customers to manage their charitable giving right alongside a checking account and a savings account. And then lastly, we have been fortunate that we've built the product from day one to be able to tie in to other solutions that banks offer. So we can do debit card roundups directly within there. We can allow banks to offer incentives such as enroll in e-statements for the first time, and maybe they'll choose to make a contribution to one of their customers' charitable giving accounts. And so these different tie-ins really at the end of the day allow our banking customers to focus on other core KPIs, whether it's interchange fees, whether it's deposits, whether it's engagement in their mobile apps, to help hit those other KPIs beyond obviously the awesome story of directly powering that charitable giving.
Yeah, it's a really unique perspective. And I think attacking it from that standpoint of looking at all of the different places that it can touch, looking at those KPIs is allowing you guys to maybe approach bankers in a slightly different way. Are you seeing the bankers responding in the way that you want them to after Finovate?
100%. And for a solution like ours, the Finovate platform really lends itself really, really well to helping those in the audience quickly understand what we do, see a demo, and if they're interested, come talk to us at the booth afterwards. And so the quality of traffic that we were seeing at our booth, both right afterwards as well as emails coming in after the event, really surprised us and was really impressive for us. And so needless to say, we've been really busy since Finovate. And I'll also be honest, and I'll add in that the prep session that you and I, Greg, had before the event really was impactful in helping us hone our story a little bit for the audience based on what you've seen work in the past. And so I'd be remiss not to highlight that. And then I'll add in, I think for us also the timing of the event was really great. So obviously banks are starting to figure out what their 2020 plans are and starting to work on budgets. And so it's provided us with a great opportunity to get into their planning cycles before the end of the year. And then the last thing I'll highlight is that we actually did close a round of fundraising in mid-October, focused on allowing us to build out our team and to continue to invest in the product. And so thankfully, while we were a bit overwhelmed with the positive response during the event and afterwards, we are in a position to hire the right team to support the demand that we're seeing.
Well, congratulations on that last piece. That's huge. And I really appreciate the kind words elsewhere as well. Your check is in the mail for all that. No, I swear I didn't pay him to say any of that stuff. But it's really great. And I think, what we love to do at Finovate is when we can highlight a platform like yours and give you guys an opportunity to show what you can do in a meaningful way. So, coming back to something that you touched on a little bit earlier, I think you guys come at this from a slightly different angle than some of the other companies that we've seen on our stage who focus on charitable giving or things like that. Can you talk a little bit about how you approach it and what you think is unique about your background?
Yeah, definitely. So, first thing is that for the most part, we're not trying to necessarily drive people to make new donations or to make donations that they maybe weren't making before. It's really about easier tools to help them act on their giving already, particularly those mid-career folks who are in the habit of donating already. And so for us and for them and for the banks, it doesn't feel like it's an upsell to a new product that is driving a whole bunch of new fees for the bank. It's really about, here's a solution to help you do what you're already doing a whole lot easier, keep you more organized. And by the way, one of the really nice benefits of it is that it ultimately leads to more dollars making it to the charity, given that there's no credit card processing fees or other fees on the charity side when those donations are ultimately made. So, some of the concerns that we initially thought might be there around people feeling like it's insincere or that it's not core to what the bank's about, I think we've alleviated by the way that we've integrated into those experiences and by what the product itself was built and designed to do.
And I think for anybody who is thinking about following in your footsteps, that's a really crucial takeaway. This idea of approaching it from the standpoint of where's there a pain point? Where's there an inefficiency in this equation? Because a lot of people get drawn to kind of the charitable, philanthropical aspect of fintech because that's a place where you can make a big difference. And of course, that's true. I think there are a lot of solutions out there that are really excellent. But the ones that catch on, the ones that have the best chance of being successful are the ones that are also going to engage that bank side and really give them something for them to take back to their boardrooms or whoever needs to approve whatever they sign up with. But it's a really crucial step to make sure that they are getting that value out of it. And it's not just philanthropy, it's also that kind of business side to it. And you actually touched on something here, which I want to dive into a little bit, because that word insincerity is, I think, a really potentially dangerous one for this type of solution. Do you worry that there is a potential backfire here for financial institutions who engage with this? Could it appear insincere? Could it look like it's a cash grab and end up actually turning off the users who it's meant to attract?
Again, a fair critique and something that we've discussed with prospective customers before we even started building and as we continue to. And certainly banks have a reputation, or many of them at least, of being primarily focused on fees. And so what I think we hear both from the end users and from our early customers in this space is that, because ultimately it's a more efficient solution to help those end donors focus on the organizations they want to be supporting. And it's really about empowering those customers. That hasn't been the feedback that we've gotten from end users. And obviously we do a good amount of surveying and we do a good amount of small groups to make sure that doesn't change over time as we add more features and capabilities and as we get tips from the banks as well. So, ultimately I think what's nice is that it's a win-win in terms of the bank getting a new way to engage their customers and getting to really connect with them around something that's important. But for those end users, it doesn't feel like an upsell. It's hey, here's an easier way to manage what you're already doing. And by the way, for those younger customers who are passionate about giving, but maybe don't have as much money on hand, it helps them with budgeting. It helps them with discovering local organizations as well. And as I said before, just trying to make it as easy and seamless for those end customers as possible.
Well, you can see why you were able to win Best of Show. Obviously, I think that win-win that you highlighted there is really a crucial piece of it. And I think the conversations that you're having with financial institutions is kind of bearing that out. There is a need here. There is a hole here. And I think you guys are really providing a valuable service. And I hope it goes really well. Now, before we get to the end, I want to just kind of switch gears here because I know you just got married, and congratulations on that, by the way. And one of the things I always kind of struggle with in fintech is how do we explain our jobs to the people in our lives? And so I just wanted to ask, how do you think your new wife would describe what Pinkaloo is doing? If you had to ask her, do you think she could explain it?
Oh boy, that's a good one. So I'll start off. Mackenzie is certainly an active modern giving user. She has a recurring monthly contribution set up. She has a few recurring monthly donations set up as well. To be honest, if I take a moment, I'm pretty sure she could probably nail the first 10 minutes of our pitch just as well as I do, given that she's heard it so many times on car rides or when I'm doing calls from home. But I think if she was chatting with my great aunt Miriam, for example, someone like that, she'd probably go with a white label charitable checking account. If she was chatting with my teenage niece Danny, she'd probably go with a Venmo for managing all your donations in one place. And then depending on who the audience is, somewhere in between for somebody who might know the space a little bit better.
Man, you got to get her on the marketing team. That's great answers, depending on the demographic that she's pitching to. I think that's really a great way of summing it up. And that actually brings us to the end of our time here. So I want to thank you for taking your time to chat with us. And again, congratulations on the Best of Show win. I sincerely wish you guys a lot of good luck as you push forward. And hopefully we'll see you on stage again at a future Finovate as you continue to innovate. Definitely. Thanks for the opportunity. An awesome event, and looking forward to seeing you again soon. Really great conversation there with Gideon. I really like the question at the end, this question, how do you describe what you do to your family? Maybe more importantly, how does your family describe what you do? It's a really difficult question. I think I have it worse than just about anybody. Nobody really understands what my job is outside of the fintech space, and it's a really difficult one to try and explain. Don't worry though, I get lots of practice. My 20th high school reunion is coming up, and I'm sure that there will be countless opportunities for me to perfect my self-pitch at that point. In the meantime, if you're interested in joining us at a future Finovate event, check out finovate.com, your home for all the information on our upcoming shows. And don't forget that the discount code Finovate Podcast will save you 20% off of any tickets to our upcoming shows. Again, that is Finovate Podcast. Enter it on the checkout page and you'll see that discount applied. As always, thanks for listening.
Thanks for joining us on the Finovate Podcast this week. Brought to you by the team behind Finovate and produced in association with Provoke Media. Make sure you tell your friends about the show, leave us a review on iTunes, SoundCloud, or wherever you listen to our show, and check out our upcoming events at finovate.com.